I was really scared, but I just remember one day thinking, I have a decision to make. I can sink or I can swim. When times are going great, that doesn't mean you can stop learning and absorbing and creating better systems in your business. Always stay engaged with something that's going to help you scale up and grow your business. Always, always, always.
Get ready for the next iteration of you on your path to becoming wealthy. On this show, you'll get the insider's view on wealth creation, the class none of us got taught in school, with my co-host, daughter, and beginning investor, Sophia Bosch. And now, let's get started. Welcome to the Becoming Wealthy podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Bosch, and I'm here with my co-host,
Sophia Bosch.
And we are excited to have today an amazing episode plan with a very good friend and a powerhouse of a business woman. She is a licensed esthetician. She's a beauty industry expert. She is the founder of the Beauty Biz Club. She has been, featured all over the place. Her latest venture has been the Spa Star, the Get Ready Rep, and she has been featured in Forbes rated resorts and nationwide and spas nationwide, and just anything that has to do with the beauty business in that industry. Like, she is your gal. She was even I believe the finalist for the American Spa Magazine Women in Wellness Mentor of the Year. And I'm just so proud and so honored to welcome Lori Cree to today's episode. Welcome, Lori. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to share all that I can with both of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know Sophia wanted to kick us off with the first question. This podcast is a lot about money. It's a lot about wealth. It's about entrepreneurial mindset. Is about, me introducing Sophia to women like you from all walks of life, entrepreneurial women, and passing on some of the lessons that we have learned along the way. So I'll leave it to Sophia to ask the first question.
Okay, so let's start all the way back. So what are some money values that you learned while growing up, like in your household, that you still use today?
Oh my goodness, this is a great question. My mother worked at a bank, and I used to walk there after school, and I could go sit in the lounge and I remember, an orange soda and listen to everyone talking about money all the time. And one thing that she always said is, Lori, you have to have good credit. Make sure you have good credit. And she was putting my dad on a car dealership. They were putting cars in my name when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. So I came out of the gate being able to do things that a lot of people couldn't, like get a credit card when I needed it in college. And it just really taught me the value of having good credit so you can purchase things that you need later on in life. So maybe money responsibility was a very early lesson that I was taught that I still honor today.
Oh, that is fascinating. You're the very first person that has mentioned that, and that, where your parents were building that credit for you, even before you got started needing the credit. So this is something pretty cool. I think I'm going to have to implement that.
Yeah, and it's crazy. My dad, on Saturday mornings, all my friends played sports, and I am not competitive. I have this weird thing where I want everyone to win. So sports just didn't feel good to me. So I would go to work with my father, and like I said, he owned this car dealership, and I literally would wash cars while all my friends were playing field hockey and cheerleading, and he would pay me. And I remember I was 10 years old making $400 a day. I was the richest 10-year-old in my neighborhood, but it made me feel good to go to work and earn money, when I guess that's not even where a kid's mind is supposed to be. But it's just all these things were implemented at an early age. And I think it contributes to my work ethic today. People go, Lori, you work all the time, but I have all these businesses that I love, so it doesn't really feel like work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Sophia, wow. Thank you so much. Just from that, in terms of your parents setting you up with that sense of responsibility, which we know, you have as well, and you have exhibited that in other areas. But I love how they basically got you started with the the mindset that you may need things in the future, assets that are going to, either allow you to, transportation to your future job or to a college or to whatever, or assets that can derive actually cash flow, like real estate and so on and so forth. So that is now I know, and I'm not surprised that you look for alternative ways of investing your money, So
It's
this was
all
something
about
that,
positioning
yeah,
and responsibility, positioning and responsibility. And it's a cycle that you'll see over and over again as you build wealth.
yeah, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. Now, I know that you are, so did you wake up one day knowing that, you are going to be in the beauty industry? How did this come about?
I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version because
Okay.
this is a long story, but it throws people for a little bit of a loop.
Mm-hmm.
I was a flight attendant out of college. I got hired a week before I graduated from college. And boy, being on an airplane and traveling the world was quite an education. But I also was very directly affected by September 11th. I flew from Los Angeles to Boston on September 10th. And part of my crew was on the first plane that went into the World Trade Center. So I was in my early 30s, and I remember I got stuck in Boston. I lived in LA at the time. I was in my early 30s, and I swear, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but I, that night, was very traumatized because I had to go speak to the FBI and the Boston State Troopers. Nobody really knew what was going on. And I heard a voice. I don't know, it was like somebody was in the room with me. And it said, Lori, this is your saddest, luckiest day. And it's your opportunity to do something you want to do. Because I hadn't wanted to be a flight attendant for a long time. I felt like there was just more out there.
Yeah.
And I just knew, I go, you know what? I'm going to go into the beauty industry. I want to be an esthetician. Everyone tried to talk me out of it, telling me to get a real job because it was a hobbyist thing that or viewed or perceived as like a hobby, not really a job, which is why I have really tried hard to make a difference in this industry and raise the level of professionalism. So we are seen as career-driven professionals and not hobbyists. That really became my mission very quickly in the beauty industry.
Yeah. And now, I mean, you now have, so like a big group inside of Beauty Biz club of women that are doing multiple 6 and even 7 figures, doing this and treating this like a true career, not just as a hobby or an amateur, that is doing this as a let's see if this works, or let me try this, or but really teaching women to bring their passion and actually teaching them entrepreneurial skills, and which leads me to the next question, which in an economy that is thriving, what advice do you give your female business owners inside of Beauty Biz Club when things are going great?
So this is great. We run anywhere between 200 to 500 estheticians a year through this program. We just got voted the best consulting business in the beauty industry by Dermoscope magazine. And
congrats, my friend.
Thank you. I earned hard for 15 years before it was recognized. So thank you. I appreciate that. It's funny, when times are great, my numbers go down in the Beauty Biz Club. When COVID hit and not one person in my industry globally could work, my numbers quadrupled. So I would tell people listening, gosh, when times are going great, that doesn't mean you can stop learning and absorbing and creating better systems in your business. Always stay engaged with something that's going to help you scale up and grow your business. Always, always, always.
Yeah.
So I think, be around people that are going to teach you what to do when times are good, because when times are tough, you won't be disabled by your business.
And now let's talk about when times are tough. What, especially in an industry like you find yourself, where, discretionary income becomes the number one thing that is closely watched by people, and then you could perhaps see, a slowdown. For us, any, slowdown in the economy also has incredibly deep impact and ramification in real estate. So it affects us, just as deeply as well. But I want to hear, like, what is some of the advice that you give your ladies when things get a little tough, especially, economy wise?
This was a lesson learned by experience in 2007 and 8, when really there was a collapse in the economy. I didn't even know something like that could happen. I was like a new business owner. I was newly divorced, and I had just bought this big spa in LA, and my rent was crazy busy. And then all of a sudden, people started saying, you better find a real job. Nobody's going to invest in a spa anymore. So what I did is I created an environment that it was almost like a dopamine trigger. It made them feel so good. They were coming in no matter what. And I just started, in my own mind, don't let your mind get to you. Don't let the news get to you. I am not selling a luxury car. I'm not selling a luxury home. I'm selling a luxury feel-good experience that is affordable to many, many, many people. So you have to focus on the many people that want to feel good. And I watched, a lot of real estate agents struggled during that time, but then I watched cleaning crews and their business explode because they were going in and they were cleaning the foreclosures, and these people needed feel-good moments because they were working really hard. So you have to roll with the punches and see where growth is and go after that target market when you're in my industry, for sure. And there's something called lipstick effect, which is, this global economic phenomenon where they have gone into countries that are third world countries or that are going through turmoil, and there's really an economic downfall, and people have gone in and said, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And women are like, I want lipstick before any other basic necessities, because it makes them feel confident and powerful. And I think beauty professionals need to really focus on that mentality when times are kind of tough out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, it's like become part of the solution and focus on the people that need you. And more than anything, gain the perspective that, yeah, times are tough. But like Lori said, you have a product and a service that if you focus on giving and delivering an amazing experience, people want and are going to seek no matter what. That they're gonna rather, put off some other expense, but not forgo this experience of maybe 60 to 90 minutes of just feeling amazing, and the effect of the afterglow that comes, with receiving whatever, service or treatment you have. So I love this emphasis on focusing on the people that need you and focusing on the people that value that experience, even when times are, because they're out there. Yeah. So, because I know Sophia
Something
now.
else I learned, going from like good times to bad times, because I was in the middle of it and I really didn't even know who I was, because when you go through a divorce after being married for a long time, you're trying to figure out who you are in the world. Yeah. And, I was really scared, but I just remember one day thinking, I have a decision to make. I can sink or I can swim. And then as I started bringing the clients in, because I was smart with my money when times were good, I all of a sudden, and this is land, I'm sure the same way, when the economy kind of fails, I had all of this money saved to invest in things that were suddenly on sale or discounted. So I got to really up level my spa and my offerings at a price that I could not have, done to purchase a lot of beautiful things when the economy was good. So it's being smart with your money, both in good times and in bad.
Yeah. For us, how I can translate this is that we are pivoting to higher price property. And sometimes, we have to wait for the seller to, come down from La La Land. And, but we know that we're going to be able to buy cheaper. We might not be able to sell as high, but if we pivot to the higher price property, we're still going to have, nice margins. And more than anything, if we focus on seller financing, people maybe might not be able to afford $50,000 on a piece of property, but they can afford a $300 monthly payment. If what they value is going on the weekends and spending time with their family, having amazing memories and experiences and playtime in their piece of land, you know? So we just need to focus on the right kinds of people or avatar, regardless of what's happening in the economy, to kind of create our own economy in a way. Yeah. So I love, you know, that we can, no matter what industry it is, you can translate. It's the same business principles pretty much. Now, when you decide to invest in something new, or, you know, who are your go-to people or your go-to process to vet an investment, or in yourself, or maybe in a real asset? Like what is the process that goes through, you know, through Lori's head, or your go-to people? Maybe it's advisors, maybe it's, you know, I'm curious.
This is a really good question. So I am lucky because I think it's one of my superpowers over like Amazon. I have an existing clientele. So the first thing I do is I start to ask my ideal client, what is it you're craving? What is it you wish I could deliver? Is there anything you're seeing on TikTok that you find to be fascinating? And that's where I start my research. I learn from my clients that are right in my business, sharing details with me. And then I usually will go to my financial advisor, which I just went to a few weeks ago. And I said, I want to buy a building. And his wife happens to be a real estate agent. I said, I want a commercial building where I can have my office. And because my spa wrap company is growing and I need storage. I'm in my casita now, and I swear I have wraps coming out of every crevice, and I have a fulfillment center in Chicago. So I went to him and he said, wait. We have a plan here. We're going to wait till we see a buyer in distress because things are changing. And then you're going to go in with a cash offer and we'll get you set up perfectly. Don't worry about it. And I really trust his advice and his vision, because every time I go in, there's 65 TV screens going where he's monitoring everything in the world. And then after I talk to him, I go to my CPA and say, how should I do this? So I do, I mean, it takes a village, right? And I certainly, my bookkeeper helps me with a lot of things. She's been doing my books for 15 years and she's seen my growth and helped me make really solid decisions along the way. I'm a visionary. My operations manager said, I have the plan, and she runs behind me putting out the fires. So you definitely need people helping you.
Yes, absolutely. Putting a team together. And that's one of the things that I also, you know, I'm instilling in Sophia, is that whenever you have a problem, you know, always, you want to figure out the how and how to solve it. But more than likely, if you don't have that how, the very first instinct would be to, who has had this experience before, or who can I tap within my network that could refer me to the right who that possibly could have a solution for her problem, you know, within minutes, you know. In your case, you know, you have your, you know, default who's that you trust, you know, and that are going to steer you, because that's not bad advice. This is absolutely the best advice right now, is to basically not get desperate and to hold off, because just like we're waiting for our land sellers to come down from La La Land to reasonable, you know, you in the commercial space is the same, you know, you're waiting for pretty much the same thing. Now, so I want to change gears a little bit. I know we've talked a little bit about money and business and what to do regardless of what's happening in the economy. But I want to go back to something that you said earlier at the beginning of the podcast, because I think it would help Sophia tremendously with a current situation that she's going through. You said, you know, you had this aha moment. There is a lot of people that when you decided to get into the beauty biz were not really seeing your vision and not understanding. And how did you deal with that? Or how did you find your people, the people that actually got you, that clicked with you? And what was that process like?
This is another really good question. And I think about Sophia and your age demographic and how you seem very focused and determined. And I imagine it would not be the easiest to find a bunch of friends your age that have the same goals. So, you know, I knew I wanted to be an esthetician, and I knew I was going to be a successful one. And I remember crying. One of my friends said to me, "Really, what are you going to do when you have to pop pimples all day long? That's gross." And I thought, oh, way to crush a dream. I had just been traumatized by September 11th, had something I was excited about, and everyone kept saying this stuff to me. But I thought, I'm doing it anyway, and I'll show them. I will show them. So I did it with determination. And about 2 months after I became an esthetician, I was on TV. I was on a big TV show that everyone was watching. And I remember the same friend calling me going, "Wait, how did you get that gig? And how do I become an esthetician?" So I think you just put the blinders on and you move forward and you do your thing. And I remember being asked to be on that TV show. And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm a brand new esthetician. I am so scared. But you also have to say yes to the things that scare you, that put you in the right place at the right time. So if you want to do something, and I went through this phase for a long time where I did not know where I belonged. I didn't have any friends that got me because I was a very serious esthetician. And I still to this day, sometimes I go, I'm not going to dance on TikTok. I'm just not. I feel like, where am I supposed to be hanging out right now? But I think if you dive into work, you do things that make you feel productive, you do things that make you feel happy. Even when I was a flight attendant, I was not at the clubs partying with many of the other flight attendants. I was out to dinner with women who were 20 and 25 years older than me, talking about different things than people my age were. So you're probably an old soul and you just see things very differently for most people. And I would go with that. Be around people you can have good conversations with, no matter what age they are, and do the things that make you feel happy and productive.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, right now, we just came back actually from a trip, a 2-month trip. 2 weeks out of that trip, Sophia actually spent it in a summer program in Oxford. And she was like, oh my God, this is the very first time that I'm with a group of people that absolutely get me. And when we were getting ready to pick her up from there, she's like, this is killing me. I don't want to go back home. I love these people. These are my new family. They get me. We click. Everyone was going into a business program. So she got a taste of college life pretty much where, when you're in high school, you're having all of these courses with people from all walks of life that are going to become doctors, that are going to become doctors or lawyers or whatever they are going to become, and might not be so into the entrepreneurial path, and now all of a sudden she was with a bunch of them all in one place, and she's like, oh my God, these are my people. And it made her, think back to, just her situation here. And I'm like, well, I'm sure there's some of them there, but
and I've started to find some, but hopefully I can find
she's
more.
starting a club actually in school, a business club.
So with another friend of mine that I found out actually wants to do the same thing. So I found one person and then so we'll see.
Yeah, they're going to be leading this
So
club,
that's what
and
I was
hopefully
going to say.
Yeah.
That's why I built the Beauty Biz Club. I wanted people around me. So if you can't find it, you create it. So you did the right thing, and they'll find you.
Yes, exactly.
They'll
And
definitely find you.
That's what I tell her, that she's on track, and sometimes we need to also look at the big picture, kind of like what you did, with earlier on, even meeting with people that were perhaps 20 years older or that were already entrepreneurs. And so I want her to have some perspective. I'm like, well, this right now we're getting, done with junior year and senior year. And those are stepping stones to a much bigger picture. Yeah. And
it goes back to me going to work with my dad to wash cars. I sat in the office with him all day long while my friends were playing sports. So I think we're born with it, Sophia. You just have to honor it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And do things, like you said earlier, that scare you, and doing them before you're ready. Because I know that, starting this little club is something that, she was like, oh my gosh, will I find another person? And then all of a sudden, She put it out there into the universe, and there's a second gal that wants
She's
to
like,
be.
oh yeah, I've been wanting to start a club in like the business, but I never really like. She's saying this to me. I never found someone, like I wanted to do it with someone, but I never found someone until I put it out there.
And,
it was not like.
Yeah, so you put things out there before you're
Yeah.
ready, and I'm
Yeah.
assuming that that's probably now going back to what you're working on, Lori. That's probably part of the success of, the spa star, the Get Ready rep. Tell us a little bit more about how do you get into nationwide, like, Forbes rated resorts? Like, how did you
Oh my
start?
goodness. We just got picked up by Google News because of the success I've had with the business. We're in 600 locations, and that happened really quickly. I started this company in 2021 when there were a lot of barriers. First of all, I couldn't work for almost a year as an esthetician. I could not go to work in California, and I thought I was going to lose my mind because I like to work. So I thought, what can I do? What can I do? And I thought, you know what? There's something missing in my industry and nobody's created it. So who do I need to help me? The first person I called was a very famous clothing designer who was my facial client in Los Angeles. And I go, I don't know what to do. Point me in the right direction. I know you're too famous and too busy. And she said, I'm home healing from the treatment of breast cancer. I'll do this with you. I think this will help me heal. So I put it out there. You couldn't ask for a better person to help you with something like this. And then we had the fabric made overseas in this beautiful fabric mill during a time where it was stuck on a cargo ship for like 4 months out in Long Beach. Like every barrier you could imagine happened. But during that time, I was out in Phoenix. And I remember I walked into the Fairmont Princess. I walked into their spa after, I shouldn't say this on the show, but after we went to dinner, so I had a margarita and I was feeling really brave. And I just said, "Is the spa manager here?" And she came out of the back room and I said, "I don't even have the product yet." And she said, "Well, you call me when you do." So I thank her all the time. She believed in me before I even had the product. It was just a crazy conversation that I did with a little bit of liquid courage. And just from there, every vacation I went on, I would go meet with somebody. And it just started taking off. And I've had a podcast for a long time. So that was really a low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
A lot of estheticians followed me. They knew I was really professional and I only liked high quality deliverables. So we got a lot of small businesses to purchase the product right away. And then I started pounding the pavement doing trade shows. Most people hate trade shows. I love them because I kind of do what you do. I build a vacation on both sides of work. Like it's either I'm going to have fun before or after, so I don't mind the trade show. Honestly, it was just one of these things. I had no clue what I was doing. I made something from scratch. I didn't buy something and put my name on it. And it's slowly working out. I mean, it's been 3 years and we're just really starting to pick up momentum. I hired my first sales rep today. As a matter of fact, we signed the contract. Yeah.
Congrats, my
So-
friend.
I know,
Wow.
and
that-
she was the manifestation. Like, I don't even know how somebody could be this perfect. I've tried a few other approaches that just didn't work. And, I'm learning a lot right now about you hire somebody with talent. You don't hire somebody you want to manage all the time. And I feel like maybe she's the first position that I've done this for this company really with intention. So I'm excited about that. I think it's going to greatly contribute to the group.
yeah, absolutely. A different caliber of, of team player when she's already at that level. It's like we ourselves in our companies have gone through a process of like top grading, also of like really, okay, you could have 5 people doing this work, but it could also be done by 2 amazing rock stars, and really finding those professionals that are already professional, like you said, that makes the whole world of difference for sure. Sophia is interested in starting a gallery. She's actually pursuing that, an art gallery. She wants to at some point own and operate. And I see see her vision, and you know, I'm a visionary too, just like you. And I tell Sophia, well, you know what? You could use the art to pay for the real estate, and you could be in all these amazing, you know, cool places and capitals of the world with a gallery. I'd be happy to help, you know, and tag some, you know, some pleasure with the business aspect of it. And just hearing you right now talk about, you know, the wrap and how it came about, and how that process has evolved with work, but at the same time with intention. What would be words of advice for her as she decides to pursue this a little bit more seriously? Like, she's even taking an independent study right now with her art teacher.
My school offers like, you can, for half a semester, year long, whatever you want, the amount of time, you can deep dive into any subject you want, like anything. Like,
Yeah.
I've had friends that do like steel, like with like making knives and stuff, like the most
Weird,
the most random stuff. And you can have like a advisor, one teacher that basically is one-on-one with you. And I've decided to do mine next year for a semester on art curation. So I'm going
So
for it,
she's
seeing
basically
how I
trying to figure out, you know, how do you curate art? How do you value art? How do you recruit artists?
Like,
You
how
know,
the heck did a Picasso...
become a Picasso? You
I know,
And why
like-
do they value him at millions and millions of dollars versus a non-Picasso, and so on and so forth? So she's gonna be learning, you know, and again, I'm a big believer also of mentorship, just like you are as well, and that's why you have the Beauty Biz Club, you know, because you want to empower and hopefully even, you know, give your ladies shortcuts, you know. And so I was telling her, I'm excited that she is, you know, she found her art teacher that is willing to go and do this independent study, kind of like a thesis kind of project, if you think about it.
Like, for example, like, she's like pushing me. She reached out. She says most people, for their final project, because you need to submit like a formal final-ish to like show what you have learned. She's like, instead of writing like a paper, you can actually set up an exhibition. Like, that could be your final.
Oh my gosh, that would be so fun to do within your club. Like, you guys go out and you find artists and you have your own art show. That could be one of your first projects in your entrepreneurial club. And I was going to say the same thing, mentorship. It's so funny. I have a client, because I do teen facials still, and she reminds me so much of you. She said all through high school, Lori, I don't have a ton of friends. And she walked into an art gallery in downtown Palm Springs called Swag, I think it is. And they loved her, the owners of this gallery. And she started working there on weekends. And it didn't even seem like work. Like, and then they have her running the place. And then she ends up going to school up north. But now she's actually in London doing her internship at Christie's.
Wow.
So yeah, and she's not that much older than you, but in high school, she just walked into an art gallery and they said they embraced her. So it was like mentorship and a job. She was making money for it. But also, there's a book you have to read. It's called The Most Confident Woman in the Room. And it's by Lydia Fennett. She was the first female auctioneer at Christie's.
The Most Confident Woman in the Room.
By Lydia Fennett. I've had her on my podcast before, and anyone who I've told about this book, they just can't absorb enough. It's really good.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh, we would love to interview her as well.
She only does interviews in July, or this used to be July, because she was still an auctioneer at Christie's. But I think since then she started a mentorship program. So reach out to her. I
my
DM
gosh.
her on
That would be fantastic. Thank you so
It's-
much. That is a
yeah,
great,
yeah.
actionable piece of advice.
yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah.
She really
Yeah.
inspires me, and she inspired my client, who's now doing an internship studying abroad at Christie's in London. So I would say find an art gallery in Phoenix, close to your house, that you just want to walk in. That's where you're going to learn everything about it. But it's funny you say, why is it Picasso? Picasso. I think the same thing about a lot of my celebrity clients. What makes them that big of a celebrity and that recognized for their work? When I met so many talented actresses and actors in Los Angeles. So it's an interesting question, but you will find clues when you start working and immersing yourself in that world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is a phenomenal piece of advice. Thank you so very much, Lori. Now, if someone wants to get a hold of you, learn about the Beauty Biz Club, and maybe even, pursue a career in this industry, how can anyone get a hold of you and connect with you?
So Lori, LORI _Beauty Biz on Instagram, or my website is Lori Crete, and that's CRETE.com, LoriCrete.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time and just all the gems that you've dropped here on Sophia and your wisdom and just pouring into her. Thank you so very much, my friend. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for having me. Sophia, I'll send you some information too.
Okay,
After,
sounds good.
Because I think I have some helpful stuff.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And we'll definitely get the book even before we leave here the studio. It's going to be order on Amazon. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.